This video is going to be a little bit of talking and maybe kind of boring for some people, but I haven't really been active about posting on YouTube, obviously, and honestly life got busy with just moving, getting the car done. I switched jobs and just a lot of other stuff has been going on, but all in all, the car is done. It's sitting behind me, it runs, it drives, I've driven it, I've tested it, it's doing good. Within 2 weeks, it was into the 6s already, in the 8th, and I'm not complaining about that at all. I basically just wanted to make this video to give you guys a rundown on where the car's at, why I haven't been posting, and what you can expect to see from the car in the future. Now, there is a lot going on with this car right now where I'm not happy with it. Performance-wise, it's fast. I'm not too worried about how fast it is. The only issue I'm having is the way I set everything up in the engine bay is making things very complicated because I'm having overheating issues where I can't drive the car for more than 10-15 minutes, and that's just in town. I've talked to a million people, I've talked to Griffin, I've talked to everyone about the radiator. The issue that I'm coming up with, and I know this is it, you don't need to comment about anything you think is wrong with it because I know what's causing it. The radiator is flowing coolant through it too fast while it's in RPM. When the vehicle comes down to idle speeds, it starts to cool off very quickly. Once it starts to go back up to speed, even cruising at like 1900 RPM, you can just watch the water temp gauge just slowly creep. Other than that, it runs great. Mitch Heineman at the projects, he worked with me for, I think we were out there for probably 7-8 hours one day, like just working on tuning this thing. It was insane. And he didn't upcharge me anything. So that dude, I owe him a huge thank you. We left it pretty conservative. It was on 23 pounds. 14 degrees timing. Of course, the car's on 85 and it made 760 wheel. It's doing really good. I've since turned it up, so I know it's making more, but as I said, it's in the 650s. Now there's a lot that I'm gonna go over in a little bit here about the car that I messed up on big time when I was originally doing this, and just some other things about the car that were just really bunk that were causing me some issues. So obviously I just described the overheating issue. Some of the other issues I was having was the car just couldn't 60 foot. No matter how much I turned it up, the car would do 653 at 110. And that was, same mile an hour, same trap, same 60 foot. And it was 60 footing kind of slow. It was doing about a 160 foot. And so the next thing I checked out was, I knew something was up in the rear end. The rear end sat high. Whenever the car left, the left side of the rear end would separate from the body, but the passenger side would squat really hard. It would plant the tire still, but it would just squat. So the whole car was kind of twisting when it was leaving. Granted, it's probably gonna happen because I don't have an anti-roll bar in it yet, but it was excessive. And so I went through and looked. My shocks that I had in there came out of that wrecked car that was the donor for this, which I got like 2.5 years ago, pushing 3 now, but those shocks were trashed. Like the compression knob on them would just keep spinning, and it wasn't strange. They were strange shocks, so it wasn't strange as a deal because, like I said, they were a car that rolled. So I got a couple single adjustable QA1s just on it for now, just to kind of hold me by until I actually go like coilovers on it. Because I'd like to do a full coilover front and rear. Obviously I have this strange double adjustable coilovers up front, and those are still good. Those are working as they should. I competed in one event in Mexico with it. We actually made it, the first event ever, I made it to semifinals. And that actually brings up another issue I was facing, is the entire time I've been testing with this car, and I didn't even know it, I couldn't hear it, I don't know how, it was on 7 cylinders. at some point when I was doing after the dyno, I was messing with some wire looming stuff on it, and I must have accidentally clipped one of the injector wires on cylinder 3, because cylinder 3 had no coloration in the exhaust coming out of it. And then just a few other guys around the area that do turbo less cars, they just kept telling me, like, dude, this thing sounds like it's down a cylinder. And one night, a guy was out there that I know, and he's like, you care if I just mess with this thing a little bit? I'm like, go for it, dude, it's all right. And he showed me kind of just unplugging coil packs, the change in RPM, and I was like, okay, yeah, I hear it now. And all in all, I got it fixed. I fixed the wire, and then that was the day of that event is when I fixed that wire. And the car still on 23 pounds of boost went 6.5 at 110. And it was good. I was happy with it. It spun, so I know I can do better, but that was still on those bad shocks also. I haven't since been out with the car. It's kind of just been sitting here. The weather, I have the garage door shut right now. It's raining outside. Logan's actually in Brainerd at Power Cruise, so I have the garage to myself, so I figured I'd just get this video out of the way. Everything else has been working good, but there's things I need. The car needs tires. It needs a radiator. I don't know, there's just other things that I really want. I want to get the roof wrapped black. I want to get the windows all tinted. The windows don't even work right now. I need to get those working. The passenger side window motor is completely locked up. But other than that, everything's been okay. I haven't really had any major issues with it. Every time I've driven it out, made a hit, I've been able to drive it home. And I can't complain about that for being the first car that I've ever built. It's been a learning experience. It's been a learning experience on the Holly, figuring out how to dial a car in. I have the fronts pretty dialed in, but that was for 7 cylinders. And it's just, the car is a whole different animal now. I was also fighting boost leaks where it was popping off some intercooler boots because I forgot to bead roll a couple of the intercooler piping. And so it would, every now and then it would, oh, there was a T-bolt clamp too that I had that stripped out, but I didn't know it, and so it was leaking out of there. But it wasn't enough. It just made the car really laggy to build boost, and I didn't really understand why. I actually had recorded an entire video, 2 posts on YouTube about trying to figure out a brake boost table for this thing, so I just couldn't for the life of me figure it out. Or not a brake boost, like a trans brake boost builder table. I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. And then I figured out that it had that boost leak, and then it built boost all right. But then I figured out that it was on 7 cylinders, and when it finally was back on 8 cylinders, it was like nothing, like 2-3 seconds. I'll even post a video here quick of it getting up on the brake. And yeah, so it builds boost fine now, like absolutely fine. And that's with my boost builder table, so I'm sure it helped, but there's no issues. So I was just like, well, that video is kind of scrap because it just makes me look like an idiot. And I'm not afraid to share this. Like, people can call me an idiot if they want, but I'm not afraid to share this stuff. It's part of it. It's part of learning. It's part of building these things for the first time and just getting used to them. The car needs an anti-roll bar. That's another thing it needs bad, just to keep it from leaning so hard, get it to 60 foot harder. The entire rear end, I pretty much had it messed up. I still have to change my lower control arms because the way I have them, they're about as little bite as possible as you can get out of the car. I need to move them all the way down, and I have them all the way up. So I just have them completely backwards. And Jeremy Knaus, my old boss at Knaus Automotive, he's been helping me just with kind of this rear end setup stuff because I don't know anything about it. I don't know what bar angles are supposed to be. I don't know what pinion angles are supposed to be. None of that. Like, and then Jesse, I don't know how to say his last name. Jesse Korb, I think it is. He's got the white one that looks just like this, but it's like the big brother to this thing because it's a built 5.3. It's got like a parachute on it. It's got like welds. It's, you know, it's cool. It's a really nice car. This thing's like the great value version of his is what I tell him. But he's been helping me get this suspension dialed in. He he helped me with the boost builder table and everything. So it's been good. I've been thankful that a lot of the Turbo LS guys in the area have been eager to help me out and just get me going on the right path so I don't struggle my way through it completely. So I owe a huge thank you to them and anyone else I didn't mention, Logan especially. That he has helped me a lot to get this car to where it is. Clay has helped me a bunch with the race 2 weeks ago Saturday. He helped me a bunch on that. He pretty much was my pit guy. And being the pit guy kind of sucks because you just kind of get stuck with like the bitch work, like checking tire pressures, checking oil, trans fluid, cooling the car off, like all that dumb stuff while I sit on the computer and try and make a tune that's gonna go down. But it went good. Like I said, I made the semifinals kind of off a technicality, really. Because my first round, I raced a Nova, a Turbo LS Nova. From down in Nebraska, they came up. So I raced to them. I raced him first round. Younger kid, pretty cool kid, but I raced him. We get done, so he actually left on me, and it was crazy because it's a hard tire Nova. It had like an NT05 on it, and he treed me, and he left on me by like a car, and I was like, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to run this dude back down. Luckily, I had the power in it where it got a little squirrely. It kind of kicked left a little bit when I was about half a car behind him, so I started reeling him back in, and then it gathered itself back up, and I just drove away a little bit. I think I got him by like probably a car and a half, 2 cars. I made it that round, and then the next race I had this this Malibu, this 80s Malibu G-body car that's really gangster car. I mean, it's full 25.2 cage. Carbon floors, carbon tubs, like it was a run what you brung, small tire race, but it was a twin turbo LS, built motor, really gangster car. Like he was laying down some passes that night. He was a bear for sure. And so I changed a bunch of stuff, and I changed too many things. I threw a bunch of power at it, and then I changed a bunch of stuff in the suspension, and the car just did not work. It didn't like it at all. And keep in mind, this is the second pass I've ever made in the car on 8 cylinders. The first one was against the Nova. So I was out there pretty much completely untested. I had no idea what the car was going to do. And it got to about the 60 foot and lit the tires up. And I wanted to stay in it. He jumped on me big time. Like he was past the light before it even came on. And he knew that, so he turned off right away. And I wanted to see what the car was going to do with that tune-up in it. And I got up to about 100-foot mark, and I had to let out because the car was getting so, it was skating all over the place. I let out, we both turned around, I come back, and then I get paired up with a good friend of mine. He's got a 2JZ240. I wouldn't have had anything for him that night anyway, just because that car is really fast. He was laying 5s down on that road all night. But I went up there. I was gonna give it my all anyway. I was like, screw it, anything can happen. So basically, I knew I was doing that, but I was like, I need to get a good burnout here. And so I did my 2-3 foot brake burnout. It's not a second gear leave, so I can't do it off the trans brake. Foot brake to second gear, and as soon as I clicked third, the car all of a sudden just like fell on its face. And I didn't know if it hit a boost cut. Because I have boost safety set up to, or if it hits X amount, it just reverts to wastegate for a second is how it's set up, and then it goes back. So I was like, all right, well maybe it hit boost cut because I have it set at 30 pounds. So I was like, maybe it hit boost cut. And so I backed up because I had enough of a burnout. I figured I backed up into to stage, and then I get on the brake and the car just sits there and goes, "Bah." It wouldn't get up on the brake at all. And so I'm like, yeah, I blew an intercooler coupler. And I did. It was the same one that I still forgot to bead roll after the first time it blew off. So I self-sabotaged, is what it was. So he went out there, of course, made a really solid pass. I wouldn't have kept up with it at all. So not mad about it though. So like I said, I mean, first round outing ever with the car, and it made it to semifinals. Like, on a technicality, yeah, but still, I mean, that's straight racing. So it was good. It was fun. But like I said, it's been a learning experience. Everything about this car has been a giant learning experience, and I can't really say I'd change it for anything, but it does get frustrating at times. And that, you know, that's race cars. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So yeah, that's just kind of where the car's at right now. I figured I'd at least just give you guys a little update on where I'm at. I got a cool video coming in, something that a lot of people are probably going to be surprised by, but it'll be cool. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions about the car, you can drop them in the comments below. Unless it's something about a radiator, then don't bother asking, because I already know why I gotta fix it. But yeah, we'll figure it out as we go and keep you guys along for the ride. But if you watched it all the way through, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support on the channel, even though I haven't posted in, I think, 8-9 months, close to. But I appreciate everyone who's reached out asking me if I'm ever going to upload another video and kind of keeping on me about it. The answer is yes, I am uploading more videos, but I've just been slacking. I'm going to try and get better at it, and hopefully provide some good content with the few months of nice weather that's left in the Midwest here. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.